Hey guys, some exciting news on the PUBG Xbox front. It looks like the Miramar test server is going to drop next Tuesday, April 24th, and you'll be able to download the test server in the Xbox Live store once it's available. So I thought I'd throw together a video with some information that'll kind of help you understand the basics before jumping out of the plane on Miramar. Now let me start off by giving a disclaimer and saying that I haven't played Miramar yet, so the opinions I express here are solely based off of what I've seen and what I've read so far. I'm sure once I experience it for myself, I'll have some stronger opinions to share, but I have seen enough gameplay of it to kind of base an initial opinion. Obviously, once I land for myself and play it for myself, some of those things might change. Now, the gameplay that you'll be seeing in this video was a video shared on GameSpot's YouTube channel, and I have that linked in the description, so you might want to check it out there. So, what's different about Miramar compared to Erangel? Well, for starters, the map layout will seem very different from Erangel. The desert terrain will be very different to traverse, and in general, everything's going to be more open. There's not as much cover due to the lack of trees and grass, so having a vehicle is going to be very important in this map. There's also a non-surprising lack of water in the desert, obviously, so boats will almost be a non-factor, although they do spawn in the water in case you do need to get around the edge of the map, but there's really no body of water in the middle of the map at all. It's more along the sides and then toward the southern portion of the map. The core of the game remains the same, however, with 100 players dropping in at the start of the match with the goal of looting, killing, and surviving, obviously to be that player at the end, or that group at the end, getting the chicken dinner. But Miramar definitely does have its differences. Now let's start with the map. Like Erangel, Miramar is an 8x8 kilometer map and has quite a few hot drop spots scattered throughout the center of it. Miramar also has a number of large cities to land in, but some of the most dangerous areas are smaller. Watching some PC players play Miramar, it seems like Hacienda del Patron and Pecado are two of the locations that'll see a lot of early match deaths. Both are pretty centrally located and have a high chance for loot in a very concentrated area, so you'll see a lot of players land there initially to try and get those early kills and to try and get as much loot as possible and survive. Now, some other loot-rich landing locations include San Martin, El Pozo, and Los Leones. These are three locations that have a ton of buildings, so it's going to take some time to kind of figure out where you're going to find the best loot and where you like to land if you do choose those locations. But there are plenty of smaller complexes spread out throughout the map, and it looks like a lot of them can spawn decent loot. So once you kind of figure out a few spots and a few locations to drop, the map's going to be less intimidating. But as always, depending on how you're trying to play the game, you can drop in a loot-rich location to try and get a lot of early kills and a lot of early combat, or you can land somewhere a little safer to get geared up and play for the win. Much like we do on Erangel with school, Pachinki, or the military base, places like Hacienda, Pecado, and some of these others that I mentioned, they're going to be hotspots for early fighting and early kills and a lot of very high-level loot. Now, once I play the map for a few hours whenever it does come out, I'll be sure to make a video with some impressions and suggestions for the different strategies that I've found useful. But if you want to get a little step ahead before the map comes out, you can also watch some PC players play on Twitch or YouTube to try and get a head start before it does go live on Xbox. One streamer that I'll suggest that I watch all the time is Chocotaco. He streams on Twitch, and I'll link his channel in the description below. He's not only a very good top player in PUBG, but he takes the time to kind of describe his strategies and what he's thinking and what he's doing while he's playing. And he answers a lot of questions from his viewers, so I definitely recommend him, especially for newer players or even experienced players, because he's going to teach you a lot, and some of the stuff that he pulls off is just insane. Now, the next major difference that I want to talk about that you'll notice when comparing Erangel to Miramar are the vehicles. Now, the UAZ and the Dacia are gone in favor of the pickup and the van. The pickup is the most comparable to the UAZ as an all-terrain heavy vehicle, and the van is basically a VW bus, and to be honest, it's pretty awful. It seems like it's the slowest vehicle in the game, and it is terrible climbing hills. So if you get a chance, you want to use the pickup instead of the van, but if that's all you have is the van, I guess it's going to get the job done. It might get you to A to B and provide you some cover, but it's going to be very slow. The motorcycles and the buggies are still here and should handle the exact same way that they do in Erangel. But with how open Miramar is, vehicles are going to be even more important than they are currently on Xbox and Erangel. So make sure to pick one up if you're on the move, because you're going to want that cover, and you're not going to want to run across the desert solely on foot. Next, we'll go ahead and talk about the new weapons that are on Miramar and should be introduced once we get the test server and once it goes live on Xbox. Now, if you've watched on PC, you may have noticed a few weapons that aren't present on the Xbox and Erangel. The Win 94, the sawed-off shotgun, and the R45 revolver. All of these are early game weapons in my opinion that you'll want to upgrade as soon as you can. The Win94 is a lever action rifle, very similar to the ones you'll see cowboys using in westerns, or even some sheriffs in TV shows, but the sawed-off shotgun is interesting because it can actually be equipped as a sidearm. It's not a primary or secondary weapon, so you can use it in place of a handgun, and the R45 is a revolver that replaces the revolver on Erangel. The revolver seems like a much better weapon overall compared to the one that we currently have, and also it has the added benefit of a speed loader, so you don't have to enter in those bullets one at a time. Now to me, the sawed-off will be the most useful out of the three, because it's a good close quarters weapon that's going to provide heavy damage, and it's going to maybe get you out of a sticky situation if somebody's coming up close to you. But I mean, obviously you'd want to use some of your primary weapons if you have those anyway. The Win94 doesn't really support any attachments at all. It doesn't have the ability to have a sight added to it, so it's pretty bad in that regard. And the revolver is still just a handgun, so none of these are going to actually make or break your game, I don't think. But if you find them early on, at least it's something. It might be better than what you currently have. All the main assault rifles, SMGs, and sniper rifles are still going to be in Miramar, and all the airdrops are going to contain the same type of weaponry that we currently have in Erangel. But one thing to note, with the open areas and the lack of cover in Miramar, it's going to be even more important to get some decent scopes and those suppressors, because otherwise you might have a rough time going deep into a match if you don't have that range and you can't keep quiet, because it's pretty easy to see players out in the open. As always, I have links in the description below where you can see the information I've shared in this video. You can see an interactive map of Miramar, which will allow you to look at the loot spots, the vehicle spawn locations, and also allow you to get the general idea of the layout. They also have a map version of this for Erangel and the new map Savage that's on PC, so if you guys want to check that out, feel free to do that as well. But that's just some basic information about Miramar before it hits Xbox. I wanted to get you guys something so that you can kind of prepare yourself just in case you haven't checked out anything on the PC before, or if you're completely unfamiliar with the map so far. Hope you guys found this video helpful and found it useful. If so, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more PUBG content for the Xbox One. It won't be long before we can land in Miramar ourselves and have some fun in the desert, but until then, I'll see you later.